Hello and welcome to InspirHere. I am Shivali Patel and I'm here with,
Queen Benjarat.
and this is the show where we really talk about all things evolution. So every single day is an opportunity to improve and to just experience life for what it is, right? All the uphill battles, all the valleys, and all of the good stuff in between. So today we're going to be diving into a topic that everybody deals with, and that is dealing with anger. So I say everyone, but I will be very honest. I actually haven't been angry. I wouldn't classify it as anger in the last 6 to 7 years. So
Wow.
I feel like I know where I'm coming from in terms of emotional balance, but I know that that is something that required a lot of introspective work. So I would love to kind of pick your brain about it and kind of understand what you feel are the emotions that really underlie anger and what causes it.
Hmm. Well, for me, angers are just like secondary emotion. There's more into it, like you say. It could be because that you are hungry, or you are sad about something, and then you act it out because you don't know what to do. There are so many emotions behind it, like disappointment as well, embarrassment, pain, and when you don't know how to solve the first emotion, that's when you get angry and that's when you react. And for me, I would validate it first, like where this anger come from. Because sometimes when people say something to you and you get frustrated and then you say, okay, I don't want to listen to this. I have to go somewhere with not such a nice tone of voice. It's not because of them though. It's because at that time it happened to me, I might be concerned about my work result that I'm looking forward to and it hasn't arrived yet, or I'm very hungry like I said, and then that's why they have hangry. So when you are hangry, your head is not working straight and you are very upsetting easily. So once you actually validate the emotion, then you would understand and then you unlock it by how to deal with the first emotion. Then you would not get angry. And of course, to be conscious um, all the time that when someone is acting something to us, so we don't react it right away. Just stop first and don't do anything actually, just stop and observe. Yes.
I think what you said is so important. It's so easy to react like this. And really, what it's about is observing
Yeah.
and having the empathy for other people as well when you're in those situations. But at the same time, really trying to pinpoint where your negative emotions are really arising from, right? Because when you start to
Hmm.
feel the beginning of something, if you start to feel the hangriness, then
Yeah.
it's being cognizant that, oh, I need to do something for me
Yeah.
before I act out because I might say something I don't mean. I might respond before I understand the whole situation, before I have all the facts. And
Hmm.
occasionally even asking, is it really worth the consequence, right? If do I care enough to dispel my energy toward this cause and this person? Because where will it get me? So I think really taking time to sit with it is so important. In
Hmm.
terms of how to deal with anger, how would you say that you feel like you deal with anger? Do you like walk away? Do you react?
Hmm.
And what would you say you recommend to people when they're in a situation
Yeah.
that feels like it's starting to, kind of bubble up inside of you?
To walk away or say honestly how you feel, but not with raising voice, of course. Like show your empathy, like you say, to others as well. Mm.
Breathing thing. I wonder if there's a science to it. I'm sure there is, right? Because people who practice meditation, and we talked a little bit about this in some of our previous episodes, but meditation is so great for becoming more present as a person. And so I wonder if when you are doing the slower breathing, if it's kind of pulling you back into slowing down that moment so you can really process what's happening. But I love that you said that. myself have never been somebody who uh, actually expresses anger that way. So I'm not referencing the whole idea of me not having been angry for as long as I have, but my dad actually would always shut down in the middle of a conversation. So if there was an argument and there was some high tensions, he would just completely shut down. He wouldn't say anything and he would just sit with it, right? But that can piss people off when
Yes.
you are in the middle of a conversation and all of a sudden you stop talking. I mean, are you having a monologue at that point, right? Are they even listening? Are they ignoring you? You don't know what's happening, right? But that can possibly be a form of meditation, but also observing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in my own life, when I am approached with an argument, sometimes what happens for me is I'll stop talking because I mean, I'll still communicate, I need a few moments. And it's because in my head, I'm having this entire conversation with you already. I'm saying what I would hypothetically say, what you will say back to me. And that's because I understand what it's like to be in those shoes, right? I'm trying to see the other perspective. And in doing so, I am invalidating what I'm saying, but also validating what the other person's saying, yet validating how I feel in my head. And so sometimes it takes me some time because I don't want to say things out loud that I know I might regret or that I'm saying preemptively. And that is just one way for me to deal with high tension situations or crucial conversations that you're having is by making sure that what I'm saying is something I actually can stand behind. And on top of that, I also believe in the walking away that you said, right? If something's not serving you, it's not serving the conversation, it's okay to say, hey, this conversation's hurtful and I think I need
Mm-hmm.
to step away from it if it's something that's negative in nature. But if it's something you can't walk away from, right, then trying to start having um, that space of trying to learn what the other person is also thinking or why they might be saying that, and then
Mm-hmm.
using statements like we as opposed to oh you did this or I did this and making it about yourself. It should be a team effort. So your words are very important. And that's kind of the principles that the major principles, anyways, that I like to implement. It's deconstruct the situation with your words, but also if you're feeling angry, if you're starting to boil upwards, you're only going to amplify that, right? I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you maybe were feeling some sort of irritability and then you said something that just raveled it all the way up? You were like, ah,
Yes.
I'm really
Of course.
angry.
Yes.
Maybe throw
Yes.
in a couple of swear words while you're at it. It makes you angrier almost, no?
Yeah, when I was younger, it happened more often. It's also because I didn't know how to observe my own emotions. Yes. And then now when I know, I'm more slower on reacting, which is much nicer as well. And I think it's better for your health because if you notice your body when it's go through anger, there's some like heavy feeling on your chest or sweating on your palm, your heart rate beating goes extremely at speed. I think that's not good for your health at all. It's not easy for everyone though, because that's why they have like anger management program, right? I'm sure for
Mhm.
some other people, it's like how to get to the point that you actually understand it. I think it's not to oftentimes react right away. You have to hold yourself. And when you get angry, don't think about right and wrong. Just think about what's really good for your body. Because if you think about right and wrong, then it will escalate for sure. Because if you are right, then you want to stated your point that you are right and another person have to listen to you. But if you think about, okay, what's really good for my health? Because I love this body, I love this mind, I love this heart, then okay, if that person is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't do it because I don't want to harm my organs. And then it's end of the story. You change the narrative of how you talk to yourself, and you actually change the way you react to other people too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that also falls right in line with taking 100% responsibility for your life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember years ago reading a book that just said, take 100% responsibility for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like such a simple thing, but it is difficult to do. And recognizing that you cannot control other people, but you can control your own actions gives you the permission to walk out of situations that elevate your anxiety levels and all of the negative things that, as you said, affect our internal
Yes.
atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just removing yourself if it's necessary is okay. But also,
Yeah.
if you need to stay in that conversation, then
Stay calm.
not only having, not only, you said what?
I say stay calm as much as you can.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, stay balanced, just try to find, first of all, the origin of why you're feeling angry,
Mm,
but also, having the ability to try to empathize with the other person's perspective will
mm,
carry you a long way, because that's when you can really start having those
mm,
conversations that are we based, that aren't just I. They're not surrounded around your own uh, identity and ego, but also the other person will feel a little bit more supported in their conversation, in their feelings, right?
mm,
And that's the whole point, that both people can walk away feeling good about where things were left.
mhm. Yeah.
What would you say are sort of like, do you think that there's triggers or warnings that people can actually use to identify the beginning stages of anger?
Like I mentioned, like you can actually with the internal, you can sense how your body started to change from your neutral stage into something that feel uncomfortable. Because for me, oftentimes I have like sweating palm, and my hand and feet can like flush with like hot and cold, and all of a sudden I feel this weird feeling in a stomach. That's when I'm like getting uncomfortable feeling and I'm very
Mm,
angry. And sometimes when I hold it in, it's also not a good way when you hold it in and when you want it to express, right? So
mhm,
what I'm in training right now at the moment, and I suggest that many people to do so as well, is to understand that you have this anger. You understand that it's totally normal because we have emotions, we have feelings. So for us, we just have to find the right way to approach towards these angers, like we referring earlier, right? And for the triggers I mentioned already, and the warning, I think that when it's about to explode, just make sure that you remove it as fast as possible and think, like you say, as a team, not as individual. Because when you think as an
yes.
individual, it's like the opponent. But when you think as a team, it's finding solutions, compromising. And that's the best way you could do. And you are preventing further discomfortness in your conversation as well. It may be the results that not you wanted it to be.
I love what you said about thinking in solutions, right? That is so important. And on top of that, just going inwards during external chaos
Mm-hmm.
is, it's necessary and it's uncomfortable, right? It's
Yeah.
so uncomfortable sometimes to sit there and be alone in your own head. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why a lot of people don't want to do it. They don't want to do the hard work. And it's, and doing the hard work is what gets you to a place of internal peace that allows you to master your external environment. So when it comes to dealing with difficult situations or difficult people or negative people, going internally is it, just taking that look inside is, oh, yeah, it's absolutely necessary.
Yes, and that's why it's come to like setting boundaries and how to set boundaries. We have to prioritize people in our life first. If it's your family, your friends, your partners, or random strangers that you meet, then they have different kind of boundary and place in your life. So if it's your family, then you have to sort out the issues that are going on. Then you have to be more open, right? But versus the stranger, then I think that sometimes it's unnecessary at all to actually reason with them, because you probably meet them once. Why would you waste your energy on it? I say this from the point of my experience that I shared with Shivali earlier, that now I learned my lesson that sometimes um, it's better to just maybe ignore it.
Setting boundaries is something that I had to really work on.
Mm-hmm,
I not just in the sense of setting boundaries for other people, but also for yourself.
mm-hmm,
I think it's easy to not let yourself think about what your strong suits are and what your weaknesses are. I mean, it's easy to think about your strong suits, right? Let's be real. But in terms of weakness, it's uncomfortable to sit there and ask, am I the problem? But I know that's like a popular TikTok thing, but or am I the drama? I think was a popular TikTok trend for some time, wasn't it? But just asking yourself, in what way are you contributing to the situation?
mm-hmm,
And is it something that you would do again if you had the chance to, once all the consequences are fully through, right? Is it
mm-hmm,
something you would do again? So, kind of taking that into account and setting boundaries for yourself, saying, okay, I'm not going to do XYZ. Or maybe you know that you are a people pleaser, then really taking the time to work on it. It's not going to be immediate. There is no such thing that's immediate like that. But taking the time to acknowledge it, to be aware enough to say, hey, this is something I'm going to work on this year. And every time you have the opportunity where you're faced with a situation, taking some steps to actually keep those boundaries in place and, maybe trying to, let's say, channel them in a healthier way is one of those things that will help you not only set a better experience or facilitate, right? Facilitate a better experience for yourself, but also for the people that you are in conversations with. So if it's taking a healthy walk, maybe you're starting to feel something, you feel like you just said something that was people pleasing, but
yeah,
in acknowledging that it was people pleasing, maybe you have a heightened sense of tension between you and a partner or you and whoever you're talking to, right? Then saying, you know what, just give me a few moments so I can clear my mind, go
mm-hmm,
on that walk. Maybe go to the gym if you have to, or put some music in that puts you in a better mood.
yeah.
Set those boundaries for yourself and for other people so you can keep your peace.
And like I mentioned earlier on our episode here, breathe.
Yes.
Yes, because breathing and meditation will lead you to further practice on your conscious and mindfulness as well, and it will be very helpful in every kind of situations. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
sectors to anger. You can have sadness, disappointment, loneliness, feeling overwhelmed, embarrassed, hurt. I mean, anxiety, jealousy, right? Like all those things could be where anger stems from. But if you can deconstruct anger to the point where you can pinpoint why or which emotion is actually the origin point, then you can allow for clarity in those situations and understand where it came from so you can actually address the issue at hand, not so much erupt and then deal with the consequences later.
Mm.
Any last words or, let's say, advice that you would want to give to somebody that's listening to this that is in a difficult situation with, let's say, a friend or a family member, and is feeling like they don't have the courage to say their part or say their piece that is
Mm-hmm.
for them?
All right. For me, I would suggest that you to do journaling. I know we talk a lot about journaling, but it's one. of a best way to express how you feel. And when you write down the things of how you feel, reasoning with yourself, you will see the other perspective of on the situation as well. So that's one of the best way that I would suggest you to do. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I know I said it's okay to walk away from situations if you need clarity,
Mm-hmm.
but make sure that you voice that you communicate, right?
Yeah.
And communication during anger is another thing I think that should be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's make sure that if you do need to walk away from that situation, that you say, "Hey, I maybe this person is somebody you love. You say, "Hey, I love you, but I just need a few moments to myself to gain some clarity so I can come from a place of understanding."
Mm.
And then say, let me just walk out for a bit. I'll be right back once I've found, once I'm not feeling as angry. And in doing so, by communicating that, at least they know you're not just
Walking
leaving
away.
to leave.
Yes.
You're not walking away and just leaving it all on the table. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like ever going to bed angry. I was taught that years ago, and to this day, it's an important thing to carry forward for me
Mm-hmm.
personally. When you go to sleep angry, it will stay with you and it will manifest in ways don't that just don't serve you.
Mm-hmm.
So, not going to bed angry, but remembering the bigger picture, right? Do I care more about this relationship or do I care about being right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask that question, then maybe you are able to step back, look at the bigger picture, and see, is it really important to have that, to say, all the mean or underlying emotional things that are really there. I think in terms of coping mechanisms, we should save that conversation for another episode. I know that we're kind of wrapping things up here, but I hope those of you listening were able to take something away from this. I know I have. I've always loved having expansive conversations with Queen here. She's, I mean, one of the women I
We
really
learn
look
from
up to in
that.
my life. So,
Oh, thank you. You to me too. Yes. So the more you share, I think the more you get to learn, and it's faster. So you don't have to go through all of those experiences yourself. A
yes.
shortcut. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So that is it for today's episode, you guys. Be sure to check out some of those past episodes we've done if you haven't already. And be sure to hit subscribe, and stay tuned so you can hear all the new content we have coming up for you. Until then, ciao.
Bye.